Hey guys, so the summer's almost over, sadly, but as some of you may not know, the summer of 2017 is the anniversary of a very special year in the history of music and just culture in general. 1967, the summer of love. This was known as a time of peace and free love, everybody was happy, and a band who had a number one hit single at the time, during the Summer of Love, maybe the peak of the Summer of Love, was a band called The Doors. This was a very unique band for the time, and even now, their sound, no band or piece of music sounds quite like The Doors. Then, now, anytime. The song that was number one at the time was called Light My Fire. One of the main reasons the Doors were a big band was because of the lead singer Jim Morrison, also known as the Lizard King. So, in honor of the Summer of Love, the anniversary, it's 2017, that was 1967, we're going to be talking about a movie about Jim Morrison and this band, The Doors. I'm of course talking about Oliver Stone's movie, The Doors. The movie stars Val Kilmer as Jim Morrison and Meg Ryan as Jim Morrison's on and off again girlfriend, Pamela Coulson. And the movie really takes you through the entire band's history, but with a main focus on Jim Morrison himself and the substances he abused and the asshole he apparently became because of it. A lot of people hate this movie. It only has like 54% on Rotten Tomatoes. The surviving members of the Doors hated the movie because of the way it made them look. Well, not the way it made them look, they were kind of put to the side, which is kind of sad, but the way it made Jim Morrison look, he's portrayed throughout the movie as just a drunk. He has a bottle of Jack Daniels or whatever in his hand in almost every scene. He's just portrayed as like a waving dickbag, but I see the problems in this movie, and I'll get to it in a minute, but I really like this movie. Here's why. The atmosphere. Oliver Stone, I know a lot of the time people say he's like a crazy director. I haven't seen any other movies by him, but judging by this movie, I know what people are saying though, but it fits the tone perfectly. The concert scenes in this, you almost feel like you're watching actual concert footage of Jim Morrison and the Doors. It's so perfect. There's this one part near the end of the movie, I'm gonna try not to spoil too much here, but there's this one part where Jim Morrison gets arrested for something. If you know the band's history, you probably know what he gets arrested for. That scene, the audience, how high as a kite Jim Morrison is in that scene, it's perfect. You really feel like you're there actually watching this happen. But at the same time, and this comes with being an Oliver Stone movie, a lot of it is really over the top and a little hard to believe. Here's a tiny spoiler at one point. Jim Morrison and Meg Ryan's character, Pamela, they're having a fight, so Jim Morrison locks her in a closet and sets her on fire. Now, anyone who was close to Jim Morrison at the time has confirmed that this never happened. But then again, in that scene, it's only the two of them in the scene, so who knows, but I doubt it. Here's the thing, I feel like for the first half of the movie, Oliver Stone was content making a solid biopic, and it's pretty ground in fact, the first half, at least. It actually starts with Jim Morrison near the end of his life recording some poetry for what would eventually become the An American Prayer album, which wasn't released till 78, a few years after he died. But then it cuts back to his childhood where he's driving with his parents, they come across some dead Indians on the side of the road. Another thing that was not confirmed to have ever happened. I mean, Jim Morrison references in a couple of those songs, so Then it flashes forward in 1965 when Jim Morrison's a student in film school. You see him in a classroom, he's showing one of his films to his class and it's really pretentious. It's literally what the guy said in the movie, by the way. Oops. It's Nazi imagery, it's him reading poetry and it's really, some people say the Doors are pretentious, it's really like that. So then you see him meeting Wayman Zurich, who's the Doors keyboard player, eventually, and getting together with the Doors and they rehearse. You see them starting to play a few clubs, Whiskey A Go Go, where they performed The End for the first time. And fun fact about that, the song The End in real life, it was actually improvised not when they were recording it, but when they had their residency at the Whiskey a Go-Go, Jim Morrison would improvise lines of that every night, and by the time they were in the recording studio, he had a full song. So, like I said, the first bit of the movie is pretty realistic. If the Doors had an issue with this movie, I don't think the first half is the problem they had. After the scene where they're at the Ed Sullivan show, and Jim Morrison infamously shouted, "Go, we can get much higher," even though they wanted him to say, "Go, we can get much better." After that part of the movie, you could kinda tell Oliver Stone was thinking, you know, I have the rights to all this Doors music and the rights to the Jim Morrison name. Let's have some fun. His alcoholism starts really taking over, which I know probably happened in real life, but in this movie he's out of his mind the entire time. As the movie goes on, the rest of the band members, Wayman Zurich, Robbie Krieger, and John Densmore, they get more and more pushed to the side, and it really becomes a Val Kilmer as Jim Morrison acting like a complete drunk show. But you're still into it. The camera work, the situations they're getting, they're cool, they're good. And then the last bit happens when he gets arrested at this concert, and then the movie keeps going and keeps going some more, and that's when it wears you down. You get worn out. Now, there's not too much more of the movie after that scene at the concert, but it's definitely not as interesting as it was before that scene, and you're kind of like, okay, this can wrap up anytime. And like I said before, the band members getting pushed to the side, I really wish that didn't happen, because the first part of the movie you see Jim Morrison talking to Wayman Zurich, played by Kyle MacLachlan. They have pretty good chemistry together in the couple scenes you actually see them talking together. And then the movie goes on and him and the rest of the band gets pushed to the side, which again, Jim Morrison's like probably why the Doors were famous, but still, it's a movie called The Doors, it's not called Jim Morrison, so like later on in the movie you can obviously tell Wayman Zurich is pissed off at Jim Morrison for being drunk all the time and losing his mind, but he never talks to him about it. You never even really hear him say that he's mad. He just kind of looks at the camera looking pissed off a few times, and that's it. Even there's this one scene very late in the movie where Jim Morrison is talking to the rest of the band for the last time because he's going to live in Paris. He talks to the other two guys, and Wayman Zurich, this guy who at the beginning of the movie he started the band with, basically, is just standing by himself at the side, never says one word to him, and the scene ends. I mean, there's no record of them ever being pissed off at each other too much. I don't really know why that was, but sadly that's what happens. Okay, this isn't really a spoiler. You probably don't know that Jim Morrison's dead, and he died at 27. So you see that in the movie, and that happens. Meg Ryan discovers him, and then it shows the grave, and then the movie just kind of ends. Which, like I said, it kind of wears you down, so at that point you're like, okay, not so bad, but I kind of wish we saw the rest of the band's reaction to his death, how they dealt with it, but we don't. It just kind of ends. Here's a problem, and I kind of already mentioned this with the band getting put to the side. You cannot name one character trait in any of the people in this movie, except Jim Morrison, and that's just kind of pissed off drunk guy, so that's not really. Meg Ryan in this movie, she's just like whiny the entire time, and you kind of feel bad for her because she keeps going back to him even though he treats her like shit. Even after that scene I mentioned where he locks her in the closet, lights it on fire, she comes back to him like 2 scenes later and apologizes. And sadly, in real life, Pamela Coulson, the character Meg Ryan plays, died 3 years after Jim Morrison. So, she never got to be free of him. So really, you can't list a single character trait about the characters in this. And that kind of sucks. But, luckily, Oliver Stone really delivers on the spectacle. This movie looks great, the camera shots are great, the concert scenes are crazy. You kind of feel like you're drunk or on drugs when you're watching this movie, but it's in a good way. Actually, yeah, you completely do, because at first you're having a good time, there's a peak, and then you kind of start feeling like shit and wish it could be over. So exactly like that. Yeah. It's still an enjoyable movie, so I'm gonna give this a 7 out of 10. If you're in it for like character development and all that, not gonna find too much of that, but if you want just a fun movie, it really captures the vibe of the 60s. The concert scenes, you feel like you're there. You feel like this is an actual concert that was filmed at that time. It's so detailed and realistic. But if you want a character study, this is not it. If you're really interested in the Doors, not just Jim Morrison, and not just who Jim Morrison may have been, because the Doors have disputed a lot of the things that happened in this movie, this may not be the movie for you. There was actually one critic of this movie who said, you know, this movie makes the Doors look really bad. There's very few people I can think of who came out of this movie thinking of the Doors as a better band than they previously did, but I mean, I knew no Doors songs before I saw this movie, and now I'm a huge fan of them, so maybe I'm just fucked up. So yeah, pretty quick review. Hopefully I'll see you guys later.